Okay, I want to tie the spent Stoneham spinner. Now this is a floating spent pattern, as you can see by the position of the wings. And spent, as you know, it's when the flies have laid their eggs on the water. Now I'll just raise this up a little bit to get it into a bit better on the focus. I hope that focus is working out okay. Now, let's try to get it a little bit better, but I think that's okay. I don't want to tell you how to fish. That's not the object of this exercise. I'm a fly tyer. I want to tell you about fly tying. I'm also a keen fisherman, but I really want to tell you about fly tying, not fishing, on this series. But after an evening rise of upwinged flies, they could be mayflies, olives, or several other patterns, upwinged flies as we call them, and especially if it's been a bright, cool summer's day, the fishing the following morning can often be spectacular. Even if there are no insects in sight, and fish will be actively feeding. A spent spinner is an upwinged fly which, once it has delivered her eggs to the stream, she falls on the water exhausted and dying. She gradually extends her parts until she is flat out like this. Just flat out. And you can see I've clipped the hackle underneath. Now, she's very attractive to trout in this situation. The next morning, trout will still be taking these spent flies, which will be flush with the surface and almost invisible. And the fishing may even extend to midday. Now, overnight, these spent flies often get trapped along the edges of the stream in little bays and eddies, and they gradually get dislodged and paid out into the lines of drift where trout await them. Now is the time to try a spent artificial, like the Lun's particular or this fly I'm going to tie today, the spent Stoneham spinner. This is a local fly which is proven to be very popular on still waters as well as on rivers. It was popularised by one of our club members, Mr. Stoneham, and it's turned out to be a very useful and successful pattern. Now, trout adjust their feeding habits, the pace of their habits, to the insects on which they are feeding. For example, a sedge, or caddis as they're called in America, will be taken with a slashing strike, throwing up a bit of spray. But a spent spinner is usually taken a bit more leisurely because the trout know it cannot escape. It just takes with a sudden heaving and bulging of the water, which can be very exhilarating. I will say that it certainly pays to degrease your leader or your tippet when fishing this or any floating fly. Degreaser can be purchased from any tackle shop, as you know, but some of my friends use spit, some use leaves, some use grass, but a little tip, by far the best sinkant, if you've caught a fish that is to smear some of the body slime along your tippet. If you're fishing a nymph, put some on that as well. Okay, a few words about wings I will come to as we go on. Right, now, first of all, the hook I'm using is the size 12 Camazon B45, and I'm going to use a black silk. Okay, just bear with me. Now, I'll start this here, and then I will get to the wings. Now, wing positions, you will notice I'm going to take the silk halfway down the shank of the hook, approximately. That's about there. That's about halfway. When I get there, I nip off the silk, and now I will take it halfway back and that will be the position of the wing. It's about there. Now the wing I'm going to use, use cut hackle point wings, cut and shaped. You can use either a hen hackle or a henny cock. Now this is what I'm hoping to achieve, something like that. That'll be one of them, as you can see on there. You can use hackle point wings, no problem, but this is how I do a cut and shaped wing. You get a feather like this. This is a hackle point from a henny cock. It can be from hen hackle. The important thing is you use the top part, not down here. So I'll try to demonstrate this. You cut off what you want and you get roughly the size of the wing that you're going to need. I'm hoping this can stay in focus to show you. So we tear off like this and like this. Just bear with me while I do this. And I take it down. I've got this now, just like that, and now I'm going to clip it, remove the rough area of the stalk down the bottom. I'm like this at the moment. This is what I've got, and I will now trim this a bit, try to show you. I don't want to cut the stalk, so I'm going to now try to shape this a bit. I hope this is showing on the camera. I cut down like this, point like that, point like that, trim a bit more. I'll try to show you in a moment if you want you to be a bit patient with me. I'm getting there. You see where I am now? I'll give it a bit of a trim. And I've got a wing, something like that, okay? I match it up with the one that I did earlier. I put them back to back, similar length. And I've got something like this, just to give you a guide, which I now put on. Give a wind like that. Missed it that time. This is what I'm going to do. And I draw it through something like this. One is a bit, oops. I'm going to start again on that. This is what can happen on camera. I get the tips lined up. Bear with me, we're getting there. And these can be trimmed anyway a bit later on. Okay, there's the two wings. Here we go. Tie them on like this. 1, 2. This is what we've got. I will draw them through a bit, try to get the right length, roughly about there. Bit of a tie down, lift them up, tie behind to get them to stand up a bit, like this. Don't worry about these loose fibres. Take a stalk back, one stalk this side, wind it down, cut it off, one stalk the other side, wind it down. I'm going back up now to the wings, like that, and I'll cut that off. Now that's the wings secured. And when they're like that, I now bring them into the spent position, like this, where I will now put some crossing figure of 8s, or figures of 8, to get them lying pretty much flat. And I take my silk behind, ready to receive some of the other material. I'll give you a quick view. Can you see that? Now, when in this position, if you want to, the wings can be trimmed a little bit more if you want to do it. You will need a good sharp scissors, but it can be done. Something like that. Okay, the body is going to be red flexi floss, but before that I'm going to tie in the tail. I use a cock hackle feather, white one, just like this. You see it there? Pull it off, tie this down, be about like that. Have a look at it, see if it's too long. No, that's about right, that's okay. So I'll secure it and I'll cut off this stubs like that. Now I'm going to tie in the body material, which is this red flexi floss, and I tie it in up at the end like this. Keeps going over, just bear with me. Okay, there we are, we've got that on, and I take it all down towards the bend of the hook. Now I'm at the bend of the hook with the material, the body material. I bring my silk back up like that. Now I wind the body material up in sort of touching turns. I'll put my silk at the front and I do the touching turns. This is a specification given to me by my friend Mr. Stoneham, and he's had some success with his fly and said to me, this is one you should put on your series, because he wanted other people to benefit from it. So I agreed to that. This is what I'm doing today. I take my silk back and I tie it off here. See the tail there? Okay. Cut that off. So we got the wings, we got the body, and we've got the tail. And the last item, this is a fairly straightforward fly, is a badger hackle, a creamy badger hackle. The advantage of this hackle is that it's got the black center, which gives the impression of a thorax on the fly. So I'm going to put this on. You can see I've stripped the hackle, stripped the rubbish off it down the bottom. I've got the stalk here, and I'm going to tie this on. So I tie it on like this, and I take it down, bend back the stalk, take the silk back up to secure that stalk, and I cut out the stalk. By bending the stalk back like that, I ensure the hackle doesn't pull out. My silk is now at the eye, and I simply wind this hackle. Good few winds behind. Come up underneath and around towards the front. Just like this, and I secure it here. One wind, two winds, three winds. I remove the surplus, which I will keep for another fly. A little bit of a badger hackle there. I love the badger hackle, it's fantastic. Okay, what I need to do now is finish off with a whip finish. So I put a few winds on like this. This is one advantage of these hackle point tip wings. They're supported by the center stalk. Okay, here we go. Just bear with me. One wind, two winds, three winds. 3 winds are enough on a smallish dry fly. This is a size 12. That's okay. Okay, here we go. I now cut the silk. Usual procedure. Just in, a little push. Now I want to varnish the silk at the head because that secures the whole fly, and I'll give you a better view of it. Just getting some varnish on my needle, and I touch around the head like that, just like that. I will go back tomorrow after 24 hours anyway and give another coat of varnish. Always ensure the eye is clear. An old hackle, which you've always got on your bench, bottle brush effect, clears it. And now I'll go back to show you the profile of this fly. It's a spinner, it's laid its eggs, and it lies flat on the water. To enable it to lie really flat, I clip underneath here the hackles, like that. That allows the fly to lie flat on the water. Now, excuse me, a few words about these wings. What I'm going to say mainly applies to traditional dry fly wings. And although I still use traditional dry fly wings, I feel the materials used are defective in a number of ways. In the past it was starling and snipe, etc. They are fragile and they depend on interlocking fibres, a bit like a zip fastener for cohesion. But they soon become apart after a few casts, and they're easy to damage when being tied on. That doesn't apply so much to this type of wing. But this is my my prime reason for using wing cutters, which you've seen me use before, and for using hackle points or hackle point tips like this, which are clipped and shaped, which you've just seen me do. You've seen me demonstrate wing cutters, but these are hackle points which I'm getting to be a big fan of. Okay, now I want you to note that they should always be cut, as I said earlier, from the top half of a feather. They can usually come from a neck cape, usually a neck cape, from this sort of webby area. And if they cut there, they've still got their centre stalk, and they retain the flexibility of that stalk, which is important. If taken from lower down here, it's much stiffer, and the stalk is thicker. And if you're tying a spent pattern like this with a thick stalk or a stiff wing, however it's made, it'll be an abomination to cast, because the fly will spin a bit like a model aeroplane, and it'll twist up your tippet or your leader. Pardon me. Wings cut do not become split or disarranged with use. The fibres are independent of each other, and if they become sodden, they're easily dried with a false cast or two, where they will regain their former symmetry. So I want to tell you that, although I say I still use feather fibre wings, hackle point wings are good. And so that's one point I want to make about this fly and other flies. Okay, that is the spent Stoneham spinner. Hope you enjoyed that, and I thank you for watching.